Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so good to see everybody. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we've got some really big news on the financial front. Some things that you probably want to know if you want to get ahead financially. Now, if you don't want to get ahead, then you can just go ahead and leave, because I'm sure there's some rapper talking about how many babies mamas he's got or how many black people he shot last week. But if you are interested in learning a little bit more about what's going on with the economy, I'm going to talk about the fact that the stock market has been dropping pretty heavily lately, pretty precipitously. And I'm also going to talk about the fact that mortgage rates have hit their highest level in the last 20 years. That's a big deal. That's going to affect your wallet. But I'm going to show you some ways around that. So get comfortable, buckle up, seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I am your personal finance professor. I am here to help you learn about economics, but I focus on black people. You don't have to be black to be here. There are plenty of people who come through who are not black. You are welcome to. But just so you know, I am here first and foremost for the black community. That's why I put the word black in my channel. I need y'all to know I'm black. If you're black and you're proud, put a B1 in the chat. If you're okay with that, if you're okay with me being black and extra black twice on Tuesdays, put a B1 in the chat. Also, let me know if you can hear me. Let's do a quick audio check. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Am I coming through okay? Give me a yes in the chat if you're able to hear me okay. Also, as you give me the yes to let me know you can hear me, shout out the city you're from. I see Don B is from Dallas. And as I wait for the yeses, because I think there's a delay. I think on YouTube, I don't know if this happens only to channels get shadow banned, because they do that to black people, but there's always a delay. Like, I'll ask a question, and then you guys won't hear it for like another 5 or 10 seconds. I guess that's to make sure I don't say anything crazy, but I promise I won't say anything crazy. All I'm going to do is share some black knowledge, which right there, that's a very dangerous thing. So give me a yes if you can hear me. Let me know city you're from. Thank you, Ronnie. B1 to you too. Don B from Dallas. Robin Driver. Robin is my mother's name, so I love that name. Let's see. Jay Shelton, good to see you. Daewoo the trucker, my brother, good to see you. Leroy Dawson from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Jay Shelton, good to see you also. All right, so let's hop into the conversation then. How many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you heard about the increase in mortgage rates that have been occurring as the Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates? Has anybody noticed that rates are going up? Have you been sort of paying attention to this? This is a very big deal. Mortgage rates are high, and it's kind of a crazy thing, because actually mortgage rates have officially reached their highest level in the last 20 years. That right now, officially today, today on August 18th, 2023, 2 days before our youngest girl's birthday. We got a big birthday coming, so we getting pumped up about the big birthday. That's what a birthday. And I was delivering packages to her dance team, little Barbie bags she had with cookies and stuff. That's what little girls like to do. So I'm with it. Anyway, so as I get pumped up for the birthday, I was looking over some of this financial information and thinking about the fact that that you're kind of in a new economy. And I agree with you, Leroy. It is a damn shame. But remember, every single economic situation provides you with an opportunity. Every situation provides an opportunity. Every situation provides a risk. Every scenario you go into. There's no economic scenario. This comes from me being a finance professor, and when I studied finance all those years, one of the things that I noticed is that every yin has a yang, every yang has a yang. It's like basketball. If the player goes left, maybe there's an opportunity on the right. If the player goes right, there's an opportunity on the left. In football, if you're a football fan, there's a saying that they use where they say, just take what the defense gives you. So that means that if they're guarding your players downfield, what do? You throw the short routes. If they're guarding the play, if they're trying to blitz you, then you can go deep, right? So there's always an opportunity, and I want you to remember that with the financial markets, the yin, there's always a yin, there's always a yang. There's never a time where there's just no way on earth anywhere to make money, because you still have the strongest, most vibrant economy on the planet. Okay, so I'm going to read some of this article to you and kind of explain what's going on, and then I'm going to kind of give you a perspective that will help you make some money, help you benefit from what you're seeing in front of you. Now, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching the Black Financial Channel. And also, we're moving away from Instagram and Facebook and all that. We're trying to use more Telegram and other stuff. So I do have a Telegram, Black Investors channel on Telegram, where I give a lot of exclusive content, lots of stock selections that I like, things like that. So just join me at the Telegram at drboycetelegram.com. And then as a backup, another place you can go where I'll send you our $5 a day investing plan, as well as a training on how to make money without working. You can get that by texting the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. And of course, there are lots of free resources on my website, boycewatkins.com. All right, so here's what Fox Business is saying about this current situation. So according to Fox, it said the average rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage is now at its highest level in over 20 years. Freddie Mac's latest primary market survey shows that the average rate for the benchmark 30-year fixed note hit 7.09% this week for the first time since 2002, topping 7% for the first time since last November after rising from 6.96% the week before. At this time, 30-year fixed rate products averaged 5.13%. The rate for a 15-year fixed mortgage also rose, averaging 6.46%. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of what this means. Okay, so there's a person here named Sam Cater who works with Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac issues a lot of mortgages. And basically he says, quote, the economy continues to do better than expected, and the 10-year treasury yield has moved up, causing mortgage rates to climb. He said also, demand has been impacted by affordability headwinds, but low inventory remains the root cause of stalling home sales. So there's a recent report by Realtor.com that showed that the number of available homes on the market in June was down more than 47% from the typical amount before the pandemic began in early 2020. So the pandemic is still showing itself everywhere in this economy. The pandemic kind of derailed the economy a little bit. Somebody said there's an echo on my mic. Oh, crap. Okay, hold on. Give me a second, guys. I don't know how this happened. There was no echo a second ago, and then suddenly an echo popped up. I think the echo should be gone. Let me know if my mic is good again. I'm so sorry, guys. Forgive me. Were you able to hear some of that? Were you at least able to kind of get through some of that? I have no idea why the technical difficulties are, because the echo wasn't there in the beginning. So I'm really sorry, everybody. I hope you can forgive me. So give me a guess if I sound okay now. Let me know if the echo is gone now. If it's gone, then I'm going to keep on talking. And let me know if I need to repeat something, if I need to repeat anything. Okay, so let's hop back in. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate that. And I wasn't reading the comments, and that's what I get for like reading the article instead of the comments. So anyway, so here's the deal. Basically, you have a situation where the Federal Reserve, very directly, they've been increasing interest rates. And the reason they've been increasing interest rates is because the goal is to slow the economy down, pull the reins back on the economy. It's like your dog's running away and you pull back on the leash on the dog, but you don't want to choke the dog, but you need the dog to know you got to stop running. So effectively, what has occurred is that as a result of the Fed increasing the price of money, that's all interest rate is. Interest rate is like a rental fee for money. It's like having cars and you have a rental fee for a car. Interest rates are just the rental fee for money. So the Federal Reserve, because they are pretty much the central banker for the world. Let me say that again. How many of you knew this? Give me a guess. How many of you knew that the United States government is the central banker for the world? Give me a yes if you knew that. Give me a yes if you knew that the U.S. government is the central banker for the world. I explain it that way because somehow the U.S. government got they have the largest, most liquid financial markets on the planet. They have the reserve currency of the earth, which is the currency most used on the planet. They can print this stuff. I mean, it's kind of crazy how they can do that. And in this case, you're pretty much asking for an abuse of power. That's what you're asking for. But yeah, we're the central banker for the earth. So when the Fed decides, and it's usually run by a bunch of white guys, and there's a couple of black people in there too, like a guy with last name Boston and etc. But mostly white guys. When they decide they want to increase the price of money, then the whole world is affected by this. And what's also interesting is that right now the United States is one of the few economies on the planet that isn't getting its butt kicked right now. The U.S. economy is pretty strong, but the other economies are not. So effectively, that's what you're looking at here. You're looking at a country that is now. Is there another echo? Khalid says there's an echo. I don't see any evidence of an echo. Let me know if you see an echo. I don't think there's an echo. So basically, when they decide to increase interest rates, it just sort of has a ripple effect all throughout the economy. I learned from a guy named Andrew Caroli when I was in graduate school. He was my dissertation chair. And he's a very nice white guy from Canada. I really love this guy. He's at Cornell University. He was responsible for helping me become Dr. Boyce Watkins. It was hard as hell, hardest thing I ever did in my life, harder than anything. There's nothing I've experienced since then that's been that difficult. Anyway, he talks about something like this thing called economic contagion, and economic contagion is where economic effects sort of spread throughout the economy and spread throughout the world the same way a virus does. So effectively, the United States, when we decided to make our moves with the central bank, it has an effect all around the world. And one of the effects that you're feeling is that the interest rates that you're going to pay on a new house are going to be higher than they've ever been. Here's what's interesting, though. So one of the things that is definitely true is that the economy overall is actually quite strong. There was data that was released by Walmart and Target, and these are good bellwether companies, or in terms of knowing what's going on with the economy. Apple is dipping a little bit, but Apple's still pretty strong. I mean, they just dipped down from being super strong to being just sort of kind of strong. Their stock has kind of dipped a little bit. It might even be an opportunity to look into the stock because I believe Apple's going to make a comeback. I think in their next couple earnings announcements, they're going to kind of get things. They're going to get that right. Almost like when Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, you knew Tyson wasn't going to be down for long, and so ultimately, the economy here is very strong. But one of the areas where people are kind of worried is real estate in general. They're worried about multifamily. They're worried about commercial. They're worried about just single family housing. Like all these areas have their own little issues. One of the issues with real estate right now is that because interest rates are so high, people cannot afford to buy a house, or they feel like they can't, right? Fewer people can afford to buy a house. The median home price has just shot up like crazy. It's over $400,000 now, which is just absolutely insane. Most Americans cannot afford that. And then what also has occurred is that while the interest rates have gone up, making the price go higher, there is less inventory available for them to purchase. So when you restrict the supply of something, when the supply of a commodity drops, well, then the price tends to go up. And also, in addition to that, connected to that is the fact that a lot of people, like me and my wife, are locked into houses that have a super low interest rate. So what they're thinking, what a lot of potential sellers are thinking, is they're thinking, I'm not going to put my house on the market. Why would I put my house on the market when I'm paying 3% interest, 4% interest, or whatever, and I'm going to have to go out and buy a new house at 8% or 7.5%. You get what I'm saying? Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. So effectively, a lot of sellers are not selling for because the rates are too high. A lot of buyers aren't buying because the rates are too high, or they can't afford it. But the price is being pushed up because the supply is sort of being dropped because the new homes being built isn't as high as it should be. So this creates kind of a stuck market. And I haven't even talked about commercial property. Commercial real estate is headed toward a major bubble, and pretty soon you're going to see some major bankruptcies. You're going to see a major drop in the commercial real estate in a lot of big cities, especially places like L.A., Seattle, places where I guess we decided to, I don't know, defund police and stuff, and now crime is kind of going up, and homelessness and drug addiction and everything else. So a lot of companies are moving out of those major cities. So those leases, that building space isn't as valuable as it used to be. It's not true everywhere, but it's true in some places. So effectively, what I would say to you is, let me ask you a question. How many of you, if you had a house and you're paying 3% on your mortgage, how many of you would be hesitant to sell that house and buy another house where the rate's going to be 7 or 8%? How many of you, yes or no? How many of you, would say, I don't think I want to sell right now because I'm paying a pretty good rate. I want to stick with the rate I have. How many of you would kind of stick with where you are? Give me a yes. Let me know. Okay. All right. So I see James the God Brown, James Brown. We're going to have a funky good time. I see you in the chat, James Brown. Good to see you. I'm glad you I knew you wouldn't dead. All right, yeah. So a lot of people would say no, right? And that's very logical, and I completely get that. And so let me give you another way to look at it, though. Let me give you another perspective that I don't think is gonna, be repeated a lot in the mainstream media. Has anybody ever heard of this thing called refinancing? Has anybody heard of that? Has anybody ever heard that, when you get a mortgage, that whatever rate you pay, if your contract is set up a certain way, you don't have to pay that rate forever? It's like marriage. When people get married and they say, we're going to be together till death do us part, and then they act like they're going to be married for 100 years and they're going to be together for the rest of their lives. And then, but then they're like the Kardashians, they get divorced like a year later. Like so marriage is kind of like one of those things where people act like it's permanent, but it's really not. There used to be a time where marriage was permanent, where you couldn't get a divorce. The courts would not let you have one. Now that's just not true, right? It's in theory it's permanent, but y'all know how it is. Y'all know what it is, right? Divorce is everywhere. Well, the same thing is true with a mortgage rate. You can marry and then divorce your mortgage rate as soon as conditions get better. Now I'm not saying that this says you should jump out there or and again, I want to make this clear. I had to make stuff like this clear. I'm not telling you what to do. You do it. Give me a yes if you understand that this is not investment advice. This is just a perspective to help you understand what's going on so you can make good choices for yourself. Give me a yes. Because we have a society that doesn't understand personal responsibility sometimes, and people will go around saying Dr. Boyce told everybody to do something. He told me to go and throw my money in the toilet. I didn't tell you to do nothing, brother. I was giving you information. You told yourself to do it. Stop that. All right. So okay. Thank you for giving me that clarity. What I'm saying is that my wife and I are gonna move probably maybe in the next year or so. Um, I'm not going to be overly concerned with what the interest rate's going to be on the new house that we buy. And it's not just because we have a higher income than most people, right? So let's be clear, like there is some privilege there. So I'm not pretending like that's not true. But what I am going to say is, it's just like getting married. If you get married to somebody, and let's say you're trying to get a green card, you can divorce them like a year later or something, and it's not a big deal. So you can divorce your mortgage rate. That's my point. So I don't understand this idea, this fixation on this idea that whatever rate I sign my mortgage on, that's going to be the rate that I'm going to pay until the year 2053. That is simply not true. You can refinance all the time, and when markets move, those are always opportunities. When the market's going up, that's an opportunity. When it's going down, that's an opportunity. So later on, when the Federal Reserve realizes that they made yet another mistake, like they make a lot of mistakes, they will tighten the market and over tighten, then they'll loosen it up and over loosen. So the next mistake they make, when they decide that they realize they over tightened and then they start to loosen, they start dropping interest rates, and then rates suddenly drop, and then you see another headline 5 years from now that says mortgage rates are at the lowest that they've been since 2012. Well, then that's when you call up your banker and you say, hey, I'd like to refinance my mortgage. I'd like for you to pay off my old financial pimp, and you can be my new pimp, and I'll owe you 4%, and then they can take that 7% and shove it up their butt because I signed that deal back in 2023 when rates were much higher. Now I want to make a shift. Okay, so I don't honestly quite understand the logic to say I'm not moving because interest rates are too high, and then also just generally speaking. And I hope it's okay if I'm a little Uncle Boyce here, because this is purely my personal opinion, from a guy who thinks about money all the time and the impact that money has on our lives. I don't necessarily know if money should be the driving factor behind all the decisions that you make in your life. That's what capitalism does to you. Capitalism creates a society where the overwhelming majority of the decisions we make when it comes to where we live, how we live, who we live with, what we do next, what we do with our time, it all comes down to money. It comes down to money. I've always been fascinated by how many people want to be my friend just because they know I got some money. I'm like, for all y'all, I could be an axe murderer. I could be the most toxic, horrible human being on the planet. And you want to hang out with me just because I have money? Really? Or you want to date that nasty dude who could have 1,000 STDs because he's got a couple dollars in his pocket? And this really bothers me. This concerns me. This says that there's a virus, like extreme capitalism is a virus in this society, and I don't want y'all getting sick. I want you to learn from all the cultures. I just went to Denmark and Iceland and Sweden, and I can tell you in those societies, they're not as money hungry as we are, and they have a much higher quality of life. If you walk around Sweden and Denmark and other places, what you feel is just peace. You don't have gunshots on every corner. You don't have obese people dying and being hauled off to the hospital because they've been eating toxic food. You don't have homeless people you got to step over on every single block. You don't have sort of the extremities that we have in a capitalist society, because it's really crazy, because just yesterday I was talking to you guys about how the average American can't afford the things they used to afford, and how most Americans are going in debt just to maintain their lifestyle, and how wages are declining and all these other things. But at the same time, I'm listening to podcasts that are talking about how strong the US economy is. Do you understand the contrast there? Do you understand how weird that is? That literally there are people who are doing better than ever, but there are so many people who are suffering more than ever. This is one of the reasons why I really like the idea that Cornel West is running for president as a Marxist. I like that not because I am a Marxist, but because I think that capitalists, we can learn a little bit about Marxism from Marxism, in the sense that one thing that Karl Marx did correct was he gave really good critiques of capitalism in terms of what extreme capitalism does to you. It's like a drug addiction. It's like, when you had too much, a little bit of dope might wake you up, might make you a little more alert. But if you're just overdosing, it's bad. And I'm gonna tell you, and maybe drugs are on my mind because I actually had a relative who just died from an overdose just today. I just found out today, and I remember talking to him. And let me just tell you, this is a good real story. And I'm not gonna say his name, or I don't want to say anything that identifies his family, because I want to be respectful of this. But I think there's a lesson here, and I hope you share this with your kids. Um, he was actually a person who basically got to live a dream. When he was a young kid, he got discovered by some musical group. I'm not going to say the name of the group. And the group discovered him, and they took him on tour. He was 14, 15 years old. They saw him sing at church, just like Whitney Houston. They discovered lots of black. That's one place where they extract a lot of your black talent. They extract the black boys off the basketball court. They get the talented black boys and girls out of church, right? Because we got some of the best singers on earth in church. So they saw him in church. They signed him to a record deal. His family's super excited. It's a big deal. He's 15. He's on tour with this group. Well, while he's on tour with this group, he walks into a room full of men that were all using dope. And he's like, "What is that white powdery stuff on the table?" And instead of doing what a real black man should have did, which is to say, "Boy, get your butt up out of here. Get up out of here." Instead of doing what real men are supposed to do, these pathetic little creatures, these horrible people said, "Oh, well, let me show you. Let me show you." And so that was when he was introduced to drugs for the first time. Do you hear what I'm saying? So years later, 30 years later, he's addicted to the drugs. It's costing him his family. He's putting his loved ones through hell. He's trying to get away from the drugs, but he can't. He can't. Drugs. That's why I hate drugs. Drugs are the worst thing that ever happened to the black community. You lost probably $10 trillion in economic potential by them putting drugs in your community. Most of you, give me a yes in the chat if you have some relative who has died from drugs. Give me a yes in the chat if you have some relative who is hooked on drugs to this day. Give me a yes in the chat if you have somebody in your family that went to prison over drugs. I mean, drugs, or killed over drugs, or whatever. Like drugs are just the worst thing to ever happen to the black community. And just the idea that we even think it's even somewhat logical to allow record labels to spend billions of dollars mass marketing drugs, drug selling, drug using, drug addiction, and glorifying drugs to children in our community. That should be enough to outrage you like crazy. There's nothing Donald Trump's a prick, right? And the Democrats get you riled up about Donald Trump, but there's nothing Trump has ever done that pisses me off more than these SOBs on the radio trying to get your son hooked on dope before he ever gets a chance to even see a fraction of his potential. All the pain and agony he's going to inflict on his family, the abuse he's going to inflict on the world by not being able to show up as the man he's supposed to be because somebody made him think it was cool to slang dope or use dope. That should offend you. That should make you angry. Now, I know we started talking about mortgage rates, but y'all know me. It's all about the other stuff that connects to your economics. It's the culture. The culture drives your economics more than anything else. So this cousin who just died from the drug overdose, last time I saw him, we were talking 20, maybe 15 years ago. He just got out of jail because he'd robbed a store or something to get some drugs. And this all started back when he was 15, and he allegedly lived the dream, right? The dream of being famous, right? A lot of black people have this dream of going into the entertainment industry, going to Hollywood and all that. So he lived the dream. But one thing that we don't remember is that sometimes what you think is the dream is actually the nightmare. Sometimes, like my buddy D1, who's a great hip hop artist, D1 had a saying that I loved. He said, the devil can bless you too. And sometimes the devil will bless you with bright, shiny objects. The devil will bless you with beautiful things that distract you. The devil will bless you with things that heighten your dopamine levels and make you feel good, like you're on top of the world, and you're being sucked into the depths of hell. And so, as a result of his so-called dream, where instead of being a regular kid living a regular life, he gets to go off to LA and go on tour with this famous group. Instead of that being a dream, that turned into his greatest, most horrible nightmare. Just like DMX got introduced to drugs when he was 14, when his brain wasn't even fully developed yet. That is an incredibly difficult thing to get over. And the last time I saw him, I remember I said, I listened to him tell me how he was done with the dope. He wanted to be with his family. And that, to me, that was the man that he really was. That's what I saw. I saw a sincere man, a man who was still connected to the church, who was still sort of, he said, this is my new lease on life. I'm going back to my family. I'm going to be there for my wife. I'm going to be there for my kids. He had a wonderful black woman who stood by him for all those years, as long as she could. And he was ready. And I said, what kind of rehab did you get? What rehab did you do? And I remember him saying, I never forget it. He said, my rehab was I got on my knees and I talked to Jesus, and Jesus is going to get me away from those drugs. And I told my mother after what I said, I heard what he said, and I know he's going to go right back to it, because I think that there are times where we need professional help to become a different person. Like, you can't just pray your way out of it all the time. You can't just will your way out of it. You need help. So that's one thing I would tell you. When I changed my life, when I went from being overweight to running a full marathon, I needed help. My wife helped me elevate me in terms of being the man that I wanted to be. She held me accountable in a productive way, right? Accountable in a way that I wanted to be held accountable. Don't hold people accountable if they don't want to be held accountable, right? A lot of people use that term. They use it maliciously and very what's the word, abusively. Like, I'm holding you accountable, that's why I'm getting in your face. No. Hold me accountable to who I want to be, not who you think I need to be. And that's what she did. She held me accountable to what I wanted to be. And next thing you know, I was losing the weight. I was changing my lifestyle. So whatever it is you want to do, wherever you want to level up, put yourself in a space where you can rehab. Most of us have been exposed to tremendous amounts of toxicity. We've been exposed to just environments that are filled with very bad choices, very bad habits, lots and lots of trauma. And I just personally believe all of us, anybody that wants to level up, in fact, give me a yes in the chat. If you want to level up, give me a yes in the chat. If there's a part of you that you just want to do better, if you want to lose weight, raise your hand. If you want to learn how to do better financially, raise your hand. If you want to have better relationships with other people, raise your hand. If you want to overcome an addiction, raise your hand. Because addictions are everywhere. They sell you addictions because products that you're addicted to, they sell better. That's why they mass market addictions. That's where the whole epidemic of oxy has started, right? Because they allowed them to sell products that are addictive. Social media is addictive. A lot of things are addictive. And so I just want to, just my little 2 cents. And I know we swerved a little bit from our original conversation on mortgages. We're going to get back to the financial, but in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, really that book is all about economic culture. So to be honest with you, this is very consistent with a financial conversation, but this is also personal. This is something where I just found out about my cousin dying, and I said, what can we gain from this? Where can we learn a lesson here? The lesson I think you can learn is, if you're trying to grow, understand how difficult that is going to be for you, and realize that what you're trying to do is damn near impossible. What you're trying to really be is, you're trying to be somebody other than who you actually are. That's hard to do. If you're trying to change literally the DNA of who you are, that's not something that's just going to naturally occur. I can't naturally be anybody other than Boyce Watkins. So if I look over here and I say, no, I want to be Boyce Watkins 2.0, then I need somebody that's going to help me figure out how to be that person and form new habits that are consistent with me being the person that I want to be over there, right? So we all need some type of rehab. No matter what level you're on in life, whether you're at the very bottom or the very top, if you have a trajectory that is upward, which I hope that you do, that gives you purpose and passion in life. And I really encourage you to pick something where you just want to go to that next level. Get some help, get some support, get that peer pressure around you that's going to make you form the habits that are going to help you elevate and level up your life. Okay. So I hope that, and I don't want to, utilize what happened with my cousin as some sort of I don't want to sort of exploit his death by talking about it. I hate doing that. I feel almost bad about it. But I see every situation as an opportunity to learn. Okay. And I just want us all to understand what we're up against and what you're trying to do. And then also that will hopefully help us also see all the things that are stacked to keep us exactly where we are, to keep us exactly in the same spot, doing the same damn thing and falling on our face every time. And I just think that you're better than that. I think you deserve better than that. And I just want to tell you about my journey in the sense that I'm all up in therapy. I love therapy. I'm all up into support groups. I'm all up into challenging myself to form new habits every single day. It is not easy for anybody. Okay. So I hope that's okay that I shared that. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate that. Let's get back to the financial stuff, and we're going to cover a couple more things, and then we're going to finish up for today. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching the Black Financial Channel with Dr. Boyce Watkins. This podcast is on Spotify, so if you want to go find me on Spotify, just go to Spotify and look up my name. Also, if you'd like for me to send you profit alerts for stocks that I like, things like that. I send out profit alerts on a regular basis. And also, I'll send you our $5 a day investing plan. Just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. And then also, we have resources on my website. My website is boycewatkins.com. I'll share the screen so you guys can kind of see the site. The site has a lot of good resources there. So if you're ever looking for stuff, we have a lot of free stuff that you can pick up over there. So just feel free to go to boycewatkins.com and you can see here, you can sign up for the profit alerts here. There's a training on how to make money without working, how to buy multifamily real estate. Julian Gordon is the dean of real estate in the Black Business School. He is the only person on the planet that I've ever seen, celebrity or not, who can say he's helped Black people acquire more than $250 million in real estate. Julian Gordon is likely one of the greatest land acquisition experts in the Black community that we've had in the last 100 years, because he didn't just make himself wealthy, he made a lot of other people wealthy. Like I saw today where Diddy just bought a $21 million painting, and my comment in the chat was, who cares? Because I don't care that Diddy got a $21 million painting. I want to see that the Black community had a $21 million come up. No disrespect to Diddy, but it's about all of us, not just one of us. Also, the $5 a day investing plan is here. You can look at the Black Business School. The Black Business School is totally free to get started with. So jump in there. We have 160,000 students worldwide. You can get 90% off my training program, Black Money 101. And then we have flashcards for your children. You should bring your children along when you're learning. So we even have B1 coffee. So if you're a coffee drinker, feel free to click on that and take a look at our B1 coffee. And you can get my books and tickets to the convention. And also, I'm going to LA very soon. And it looks like I'm speaking at a Wealth and Power conference in Austin on September 30th. I didn't even know that was on my calendar, but there it is. So all that information is there. So feel free to go to my website, boycewatkins.com. A lot of our information is there. Okay, so anyway, let's finish up here. What I'm going to do is answer a few of your questions as well. Do me a favor, thumbs up, share, subscribe. So I'm going to look in the chat and see here. Someone says, I believe Warwick Dunn has done something similar. Yeah, Warwick Dunn is a good guy. I like Warwick Dunn. I think he did a lot for single moms, and I think that's really cool. He's a good guy. Julian helped me get my first duplex. Yeah, Julian, Atlanta Black Wall Street. Julian Gordon is the real deal. He's an absolute beast, and I'm honored to be his friend. And I'm really flattered. I met him in 2017, and he just came up because we were shooting one of our movies, the Black Love Blueprint. And somebody introduced him to me, and he said, "Hey, I'd like to meet with you." And I said, "Sure." And so the morning that he was going to meet with me and my wife, he texted me and he said, "What's your favorite coffee?" And I told him, I said, "Yeah, like a mocha latte or something like that." I forgot what it was. And he got me and my wife our favorite coffee, and we rode in a limo. He had a limo ride us to the airport so he could pitch this idea of us working together. And I was like, okay, I don't know this guy, but I'm really impressed. He's super professional. And he went to UCLA and Stanford. And I like Julian because Julian, he could be hanging out with white folks. Like, he literally is the kind of guy. He has a pedigree. He went to the UCLA and Stanford. And so there's a lot of places he could be other than the Black community. But Julian had parents that embedded in him, just like you're going to embed in your kids. They embedded in him that the most important thing you could do on this planet as a Black man is to work alongside other Black people. They put that in his mind early, and that's what led him to eventually go on and do the great things that he did. And so as a result, Julian has acquired a ton of real estate for a lot of other people. And I believe he should also acquire some for himself. I think he owns millions of dollars in property himself, but then also his students have millions of, again, they're going to hit $500 million worth of real estate probably in the next year or two. And I think he should have a big party. And these are your superheroes, y'all. These are your Avengers. These are the people. These are your racial Avengers who are avenging the things that happen to us, who are avenging the lost wealth in our community, who are avenging all the things that happen to us in a negative way and turning them into something positive. And these are the ones that we should celebrate. All right. So anyway, let's see here. A couple of comments here. Let's see. Chairman of the Poor says, which is a great name, by the way. No one talks about the loss of human capital in the Black community due to drugs. If I start a business, hard finding labor in the Black community. Yes, that's a great point. That's an excellent point you just made. That human capital, you got to understand, that's all slavery was about. Slavery was about the theft of your human capital. That's how slavery made America very wealthy. So if you're talking about something like drugs, or even in Chicago, where in big cities where they don't educate Black children and they come out and they can't even read, write, or do math, that's trillions of dollars in human capital that gets lost. Why do you think they pay you money to go to work every day? Because your human capital has value. You're a human being that works hard. You have 40 hours a week. They don't pay you that money because they're trying to be nice. They pay you that money because you're valuable, right? The American economy needs workers. Right now, one of the challenges in the labor market is they can't get enough people to do the work, and that's the loss of human capital. That has an economic impact. So I would encourage you to keep that human capital for yourself. When you raise those kids and you're making those choices, figure out, how do I circle this back where when I'm working hard for the right people, right? That's really important. Let's see here. Todd says, hey, boys, how easy or hard is it to refinance to a lower mortgage rate? Talk to your banker about that. Just when you, if you have property or you have a house, just call your bank and just say, hey, I'd like to refinance. What do I need to do? And, and it's going to depend on a few factors, how much equity you have in the house, or maybe your bank may not do it. Maybe another bank will do it. But generally speaking, all this kind of happening is someone else is taking over your old loan, and or maybe your old bank takes over your loan, but they just give you a lower rate. They could do that too. But basically, you're kind of renegotiating. You're just saying, I owe this debt. This is the interest rate I'm paying on this debt. I don't want to pay that interest rate anymore. I want to get my debt paid off by someone else, and then I'm going to pay them at a different interest rate. So that's kind of what a refinance is, and that's kind of how it works. Okay. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Do me a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Just a reminder. And speaking of, we're talking about healing and things like that. My wife happens to be a therapist. I should mention that. She is a full professor of social work, and she's also a certified trauma specialist. She's very good at trauma, and she actually helped me create in the Black Business School the first ever Black financial therapy department, where we literally do financial therapy specifically focused on issues that affect the Black community, the trauma you went through as a kid. When you had your mama put the phone bill in your name when you were 2 years old, and or your cousin stole your money after they borrowed it, never paid it back, and that traumatized you. All these things have a psychological effect, and I encourage you to consider exploring that. So if you'd like to know more about what my wife does, she's a very hardest working person I know. She's sick right now, and I literally have to force her to stay in the bed. It's kind of crazy. A lot of y'all were in class the other day, and y'all probably heard me at the end where I said, you need to get in the bed, because she came downstairs and, you boys, the kids, we got to make dinner. I was like, Alicia, stop. So anyway, but y'all Black women, you know how y'all are. Y'all some hardworking people. Anyway, feel free to go to her website. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. And also, don't forget, we have the All Black National Convention coming up October 20th through the 22nd in Atlanta. So if you'd like to get discounted hotel rooms or market your business at the convention to all the Black people that will be there, feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. And of course, last but not least, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. You can get the $5 a day investing plan. You can get all kinds of free stuff there. So feel free to go take a look. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I had a really good time talking to you. I hope this conversation was beneficial. If it was, I hope you will hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, notification bell. Hit the notification bell so that way you'll be notified when I go live, and you can even get on the text list. That might make it easier. You can do that at my website, boycewatkins.com, and that way I'll be able to reach out to you when we go live again. All right, so have a good day, everybody. God bless you, and I will see you all soon. Take care now. Peace.